This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
Welcome to the Supreme Resort, Land v. World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. Each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort, ride by ride, land by land, restaurant by restaurant, to determine which is better. I'm your host, Jimmy, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity answer this long, elusive question, which is better, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Joining me, as always, is Dan.
Oh, hold on. Let me take the Band-Aid off my ear. Hi, I'm Dan. I'm here, ready to go.
And we also have Eric. Hi, Eric.
I thought Dan just kind of fell asleep and like drooled on his pillow and got random garbage stuck on his face.
Too.
Ear bandage. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to Supreme Resort. We are back. We are back to a Versus episode, somewhat proper Versus episode. Some time ago, we recorded.
We're dressed in tuxedos, so Indeed. It is proper.
Black tie, bow ties, etc. Some time ago, we recorded an episode where we were comparing the Hollywood-themed streets, is how it started. And as we were doing that episode,
Jimmy,
wait a minute,
shut us down.
These are lands. These are not just streets. These are proper lands. So we've kind of systematically gone through and argued each thing so that we can do a full which is better land episode with Natalie and May. Before we do that, we have to cover everything in the land. This episode is And the Restaurants.
Yeah.
I got to write that down.
Yeah, And the Restaurants.
That's good.
So we're going to be covering that today. That's basically it. I don't have any news. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot to talk about. Hungry Bear Restaurant is closed, but let's not make it
Disneyland
news.
might go on strike.
Disneyland might go on strike. But again, let's try not to timestamp this episode as much as possible. Although I will say these restaurants, the menus do change from time to time from some of these, right? I wouldn't say seasonal, but they do change from time to time.
Oh, yeah.
Some are pretty consistent, which we'll get into.
You mentioned Hungry Bear. Have you heard the news with what's going on there?
Nice. No, go ahead, Dan. I would like to hear where you stand.
Thank you. It is going to be a barbecue restaurant.
Ooh.
We don't know what that means, to what extent. We don't know if it's like they serve you sloppy barbecue on a bun, or if it's like gnawing meat off of a bone, or what style of barbecue it will be. But
is it still going to be called the Hungry Bear Restaurant?
I believe
it's the Hungry Bear Barbecue Restaurant, right?
There we go.
It's the Barbecue Jamboree, I think.
Oh, Barbecue Jamboree. That's
it's great. Although they could call it the Hungry Barbecue.
They could. I mean, there was some time ago the Big Thunder Mountain Barbecue, which had actual barbecue food.
Yeah, it was good.
Is actual good food. So there's speculation as to like whether that is possibly what's going to be happening there. There's a whole lot of backstage behind. I mean, within the bounds of Disneyland having not a lot of space, but there's a fair amount of backstage behind Hungry Bear. So if they were inclined to do actual, gnawing the flesh off of a bone, cooked animal, then there's the possibility for it. I suspect it'll just be sloppy barbecue sauce based things on buns, which is also fine.
They have an opportunity at Epcot. They have a restaurant, the Coral Reef Restaurant, where you're eating fish whilst looking at fish. Mm-hmm. Do you think this restaurant, since you're looking at Splash Mountain, looking at all the critters, you could be eating critters while looking at critters?
You're eating frogs.
Frog's legs, the hot frog leg. It's close enough to New Orleans.
Gator.
Gator tail's really good.
I didn't consider that angle, and I both hope they play it up and hope that they don't. I think there's hints in the language that it could explore different types of barbecue, like different regions of barbecues.
Get some mustard sauce in there.
Mustard, a little mayonnaise base, a little vinegar base.
Yeah, which also leads me in the direction of it could just be sloppy mess on a bun, which again,
let's hope not. I think they're doing a better job at that for the most part, this episode notwithstanding. So yeah, it's I forgot what I was going to say, but that sounds wonderful. So before we get straight into the show and the restaurants, do you guys have anything else you want to chat about? I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Will anything on the menu have the word Brer in it?
That seems...
I mean, like as a callback to Splash Mountain, just to appease
that's a
historians.
Good question.
Brer Fox's rabbit stew.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be great.
You finally got it.
That's why it's closed.
Right.
They finally got it.
That is a really good question.
Brer barbecue.
There will be maybe a special sauce called like Brer sauce or
Brer barbecue sauce.
Brer. I think they'll if they do it, they're gonna find the line. They're gonna get their legal team together and they're gonna type stuff into ChatGPT because no one wants to work anymore.
That's right.
And they'll figure out a happy medium, a Goldilocks scenario, if you will.
I will.
Where they have just enough of that to make certain people go, I get it, and other people go, well, why'd you tear down Splash Mountain if you're gonna do that?
Not everyone who loves Splash Mountain has a Southern accent.
I was doing an impression of my sister.
Okay. Okay. By the way, Dan's sister is the one who determined that the appropriate order in which to ride Winnie the Pooh and Splash Mountain is Pooh, then Splash. Okay, so let's move on to the show. The show episode today and the restaurants and Hollywood-themed lands. That is Sunset Boulevard versus Hollywood Land. Am I getting that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm only thinking twice because I always get confused between the two, but I know that Walt Disney World is Sunset Boulevard because I checked it 5 times this time. I just can't quite remember exactly if it's
Sunset Boulevard is a land at Hollywood Studios. We know that to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
And at Disney World, at Disneyland, it is called Hollywood Land.
Hollywood Land.
I'm in full agreement.
So
with
it's not named after the street.
That is correct. It's Hollywood Land and Sunset Boulevard. Those are the 2 lands. And inside those lands, we have counter service. Inside the lands, there is no proper, what do they call that? Dining, the sit down, turn around, pick a bale of cotton dining, the
place.
The table service. There's no table service restaurants in either of these lands. There's only counter service. There are some mobile orders, which we can talk about. At Hollywood Studios, there are 6. At Disneyland, there are 5 proper on the website. We can talk about the things that are on the website that are on the app. Before we get into it, Eric is going to argue for Sunset Boulevard at Disney Hollywood Studios because it came first. He will go first. And if I like something that Eric says about one of these restaurants, you will hear this sound. Eric, please explain.
That is the opening to the overture to the movie Sunset Boulevard.
Nice. Ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille? That whole thing?
Yes.
By the way, one of David Lynch's favorite movies.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Listen to Scraping the Vault and Mulholland Drive. Dan is going to argue for Disney California Adventure and Hollywoodland restaurants. If he says something I like, you will hear this sound.
When did animal-style burgers start?
That's right.
Oh, Huel.
In-N-Out.
That's a variation on a theme. When I very often will just have Heel Hauser say, "Hi, I'm Heel Hauser," when doing California Adventure. There it is.
That's right.
I'm glad Eric always has it ready to go. Do you also have someone ready to say hello to us, just in case? Thank you.
He sure does.
I gotta fix that sound so it doesn't double. But hey, there we go.
So it's a variation of a theme where it's an A to C of Heel Hauser, where he's visiting In-N-Out. By the way, one of his more delightful episodes. He is tickled by the secret menu,
animal style,
and it also references the fact that I am still bewildered that they don't have an In-N-Out in California Adventure.
Oh my God, I never thought about that. Why don't they have an In-N-Out in
California
California
Adventure? It's the most obvious thing.
or a Ruby's Diner on the pier.
Something, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Hi, I'm Huel Hauser. Hello.
Okay, so let's get into this. Ultimately, boys, I don't know which I like better. I don't think any of these restaurants are particularly my go-to. Like, in general, when I go to Hollywood Studios, I rarely, if ever, eat on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh.
When I go to DCA, I rarely, if ever, eat on Hollywood Land. I just don't. None of it really gets me excited. None of it really feels like it tastes good. So I'm not really sure which is better. And I don't want to say there are 6 at Hollywood Studios and therefore they have more choices. I think, again, it comes down to size. And then, of course, there's some annexed things that we can talk about and other deals. So I genuinely don't know. I think we have some analog a little bit. We've kind of gone through and figured out this is compared to that, et cetera. We'll go through all those. But before we get into all that, genuine, do not have an opinion here. So I am curious to see ultimately what the 3 of us decide is better. But before we do that, let's get into a little bit of the history of these restaurants. What was there before? Things that we can't have today that we could have in yesteryear. And because Eric, Hollywood Studios, Hollywood themed land went first, you go first.
All right. Fantastic. Well, as we've discussed in some of the earlier episodes about Sunset Boulevard, when MGM opened up, it did not have this street at all. You walked down Hollywood Boulevard, which is the main entrance street. It's the main street of the park, then and now. And once you got to the end of the street, you had the Brown Derby on your right, and you had the animation courtyard that was there because the animation building was there. But there was the only other place to go was to the Great Movie Ride or down the street toward what is now the Star Wars Launch Bay, and at the time was the entrance to the tram tour. When Disney decided to expand the park fairly quickly, so the park opens in 1989. In 92, they're gearing up for the Tower of Terror that opens in 1994. So they open up this street and they populate it with a bunch of buildings. And we've talked about some of those buildings in the intro episode. We'll probably round back to a lot of that when we, and all of the different design influences from around Hollywood area when we get to the final land review. But essentially, as you head down that street, most of the food is going to be on your left. We're like Jimmy mentioned, well, I guess Jimmy hasn't mentioned it yet. This was in our planning. We're going to skip some of the smaller carts because they're not particularly themed or anything like that. Really, all you get on the right-hand side is a cart that they sometimes roll out that serves alcoholic drinks when the park is really, really busy. And that's right behind the Starbucks. That is the Red Trolley Cafe.
Right. And for the listener section, the crux of this episode is going to be based on what is on the website on go.com, not in the app, because to Eric's point, they fluctuate, they can move, they're mobile, so they don't technically are not permanent, they're not listed on the website. And Eric, to that point, all of the food is on the left.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true in Anaheim too. All the food is on the left.
Oh, that is fair. Huh.
Interesting.
All right,
anyway, keep going.
Yeah. Well, as you're heading down that street, you will hit what was in 1994 when the area opened up. The market was then called the Sunset Ranch Market. That design has remained pretty consistent over the years. The entire area is designed after the Los Angeles Farmers Market, which is still in existence. This is in particular the farmers market on 3rd and Fairfax in LA. This farmers market opened up in July of 1934 and started out as just a place for just a literal farmers market. Farmers would come up, they'd throw up a stall there and sell their produce from their trucks, basically. That started to, as it gained in popularity, it started to build out, and they would build more semi-permanent stalls, and it has expanded significantly over the years. In 1941, they started adding some more permanent buildings for indoor shopping. They added a clock tower, which is still the landmark of the area, and it is replicated on Sunset Boulevard here in Hollywood Studios. The farmers market really is now this massive thing. If you go to their website now, they break everything up into categories, but you can go grocery shopping, you can go to produce markets. There are multiple butchers, there are multiple restaurants, coffee shops, quick service, sit down meals, quick snacks. It's just packed with stuff to do. So it is still a very popular place to go.
And for the listener, this is the actual farmers market in Los Angeles at Fairfax that this particular spot is themed after. Yes,
correct. Yes, Dan.
Got it.
From what I understand, it's still basically local stuff, right? It's not like Starbucks went in there and built a.
There is a Starbucks.
There's not a Pandora Jewelers or anything,
right? No, I mean there is a Starbucks in there, but I mean what I'm trying to point out is that like the independent farmer, even or independent like sandwich maker or whatever, that's still a part of the essence of it, right? Even as it has taken on more of the corporate, and
flair. That's what it looks like. I mean, unless some of these are, if some of these are chains, then they're local LA chains,
right? Yeah,
that sort of idea. And it seems like some of them have expanded to multiple stalls, and some of the more popular places. There's a gourmet pickle place that has 2 locations now because they've expanded because people seem to like it. So yeah, it's like that. It still seems very grassroots, except for Coffee Bean and Starbucks.
I'm calling it now. Pickles are the next cupcake in terms of like food fads.
Okay,
I see it happening. It's gonna happen.
All right. What's the name of this picklery? I already lost it because there's so many different things to look at.
I'm a pickler.
It is Kalen and Kalen Pickles. It's owned by owner Scott Kalen. So there you go. Named after the guy. So yeah, it's all of that kind of stuff here. And that's in essence, what they're trying to replicate in Hollywood studios. Early on, it seems like they just had covered seating and places where you could buy things. Then they kind of started building out named locations and kind of establishing more of an identity. Like Rosie's All-American Cafe for a while was Rosie's Red Hots. All of these places have kind of changed names a few times over the years. Anaheim Produce seems to have always been there. You can learn about the Disney Vacation Club, but that's not what we're talking about here today, I would imagine. We should do that someday. Best DVC.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
March
I think that's a bracket. That is a bracket.
Next March. There we go.
It's keeping us one more year away from kids menus.
Kids menus.
Great.
Not a threat, it's a promise.
So there's not a lot else to say about the basic history of here, because it's kind of always been the same thing. They just change up the menus over the years. Suddenly there's a pin trader stall, the stuff kind of comes and goes there. But I think at this point they're pretty well set on the restaurants that they have that we'll get to, and what they're more recently they've reestablished what each one has. This is a pizza place. This place you can get a sandwich. This place is ice cream, and that's kind of nice.
My favorite. I was just looking through in preparation for the show, and at the Anaheim Produce, which you were just talking about, on the app, one of the items you could buy was whole fruit. And in parentheses, it says plant-based.
Nice.
Ooh, those new plant-based fruits.
I think exactly. Not to be too kind to our corporate overlords, but I'm kind of learning a little bit about how things think about things. And I think that is more to generate a tag for if someone wants to bring up, but that is hilarious at the same time.
That's a good point, Dan.
My wife said the same thing, but I still thought it was funny.
I should point out, while we're talking about this, something that just occurred to me as I was reading through this. The farmers market that this is all based on is on 3rd and Fairfax, which is not Sunset Boulevard. But then, pulling back the camera a little bit, nothing on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood Studios is based on anything
actual
on
Sunset Boulevard.
Actual Sunset Boulevard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was just talking about the kids menu idea that we've been talking about this for years.
That like might years now.
I know that, and I'm not saying this so much because I want it to be, as I actually think it might need to be at this point. That might need to be a major event.
The kids menus?
Because we've been talking about it for so long.
Do we need guest judges or guest readers of the menus?
I think we need to it needs to be our Olympics. We have guests.
Ooh.
We have.
There's so many choices. There's so many restaurants. We're going to have to figure out how to boil that down. In the interest of time here in this episode, Dan, would you like to give us your history or what was there before, etc.? Because Award Wieners has always been there.
Sorry, it's just every time. As many people know, the history of Disney's California Adventure, especially in its first iteration, is a tragicomedy of errors, let's say. And some time ago, years ago, and by the way, the Soap Opera Bistro is going to be covered in the history of Disney Junior Dance Party. So just in case anyone's just like, what the hell?
I was clamoring for it, so thank you for bringing that up.
There was long ago. Jimmy, do you remember? Do you have any inkling into a memory of what I'm about to talk about? Because I think we went there like the first time we.
Is it where, where you'd wait in line for PhilharMagic?
Let me jog your memory a little bit. Think, and this is part of the narrative. Think about California Adventure in its first iteration.
Yeah.
Think about that area by what was Superstar Limo, and think about what might still be there if Superstar Limo wasn't Superstar Limo.
I can't think of it.
There was a little place called Hollywood and Dine.
Oh, yeah.
And that was in what is now the giant
empty
place
warehouse?
It's a giant empty warehouse in which they probably store, employee files, known as Studio 12. It is gone, and it's sad and hilarious. And this is why. First of all, let me just remind everybody that California Adventure in its first iteration, the conceit was that you are not the whole place, but this area, you were in a studio in Hollywood Studios backlot. And what do you find in backlots? sound stages. I finally thought of that word. Thank God. And sound stages are, of course, where you build sets and things are filmed. The only place that they really committed to that idea of sound stages happening, one of the only places, was Hollywood and Dine. And what sort of movie or TV show might they have been doing there? A food court. It was the studio for a food court. So I'm just trying to point out, within the narrative. So
it's a commissary.
No, hold on.
Okay.
It's weirder. Because if you think about it, the whole place is themed. This is supposed to be, okay, go with me here, because it gets really good if you get there with me. This is a soundstage, right? And inside of a soundstage, we would expect there to be a set for some kind of a feature or a TV show, right? But then when you go inside of this soundstage, it is in fact a food court, meaning within the conceit of the theme park itself, the only way this makes sense is if they were making a movie about a food court, which would be the worst movie ever made, by the way.
Huh.
I'm not saying that that's the angle they took. I'm just saying that that's the angle that is the following its own logic down its own logic rabbit hole. That's the only thing that makes sense in terms of why it was supposed to be that way.
So in your narrative, somebody saw Good Burger and said, you know what? There are plenty of fast food opportunities that would make great films.
Let's make a movie that takes place in the part of the food court where the people eat, not the restaurants. Anyway, just a little fun that I had with that. So yeah.
So there are two things that I want to point out. First of all, stage 12 is an empty building.
Yes.
Presumably there's stuff in it, but you can't do anything in the
Ark of the Covenant is in there. Yes.
Now, and then next to that, which is on the Disneyland app and is also actually there, is a water tower that says Hollywood Studios on it.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. For the listener, if you're looking at Monsters, Inc., on the right-hand side is the Hollywood Lounge, which we'll talk about. And just beyond that is stage 12.
Right. And it gets sadder. So we'll get into it. And by sadder, I mean more hilarious because, it's me talking. Inside of this place, they had, and I'm going to go in order of dramatic reveal. There was Via Capri, which was a pizza place. And just to clear it up, and it was this is all inside of this place. To theme it up, they made it look like an old, like a restaurant in LA that has, an unassuming restaurant that's been around for a really long time, small place. It's hard to explain unless you've actually seen it and been there. And just to clarify that they did in fact sell pizza because there were no clues in the name or in the decor. They had two giant segments of their menu that said pizza on one side and the other pizza. So that's what we're dealing with here. There was also the Wilshire Bowl, which was an Art Deco sort of decor place. What would you imagine they sell at the Wilshire Bowl?
Bowls.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches.
Bowls weren't popular back then.
I was going to say they were ahead of their time. I'm looking at pictures of this place.
Yeah.
And you know what it is if anyone's ever been to Disneyland Paris at Walt Disney Studios, their main street is in a building, and this is what it looked like.
Not the best comparison to make, but also a fitting one. I mean, by that I mean not the most favorable comparison, but accurate. And then they also have Schwab's Pharmacy, which is themed to a pharmacy. And Eric, as a pharmacist, what would you imagine they sell at Schwab's Pharmacy other than pharmaceuticals?
Kebabs.
Not entirely off thematically if you apply like an A to D sort of aesthetic. It served soups, deli sandwiches, and side salads.
It almost makes sense for the old school soda fountain pharmacies.
I think the idea is this is healthy. I'm doing air quote healthy food. Right. And you go to pharmacy. You go to pharmacy for healthy, I think is what they thought. But wait, there's more. The most tragic turn in our narrative. And I'm going to make sure that I have my, I want to see the reaction here because this will possibly elicit a reaction. Don the Beachcomber.
Yeah.
Nothing from Eric. That's fine. Don the Beachcomber, historically, Eric,
just said a name. That's all.
But Eric, you're into tiki stuff, right?
This is an actual Don the Beachcomber's. I thought you were like saying he inspired something, but this is a real Don's.
Well, it definitely had the name.
Okay.
And they would have definitely had to approve it. It's not like a weird respelling of it or anything like that. Does the idea of Don the Beachcomber being inside of DCA interest you?
Yes. Yes,
Good
it
answer.
does.
Good answer. And they should have definitely thought of that. What do you think they possibly would sell at Don the Beachcomber in terms of cuisine?
Oh, Chinese food and
you looked it up.
Someone's been looking at it.
Looked it up.
Are you looking at it, or are you actually guessing?
You didn't. Okay, it's actually Chinese food.
No, that's what most tiki restaurants did. Like they sold that exotic Chinese food back, at a time where you didn't have a ton of Chinese restaurants.
And what sort of drinks would you imagine that they sold at Don the Beachcombers in DCA?
Fruity with booze.
Mm-hmm. With like, you're thinking like classics, like a Mai Tai, a Navy Grog, Beachcomber's Gold, and other things that I'm reading off of Yesterland, a zombie, things like that.
And they did have those?
One would expect that.
That's what you would expect. Yes, you'd expect Trader Sam's, basically.
In a theme park where one of, if not the only main selling point at that time was that you could buy alcohol there, right?
Right.
They did not have that. Which is awesome. This is genuine delight. I'm sorry. It's just so stupid.
Because Don the Beachcomber and Trader Vic's both claim to have invented the Mai Tai.
Right.
Right. So you would think, I mean, it would make a lot of sense, right? Let's say you're just average DCA goer. It's like, oh, I'm going to this new park that right across the street from Disneyland. Don the Beachcomber. That's so cool. I've heard about it. I've never actually been there. I can't believe I can go to this park that, like, first of all, I can get a drink because I'm going to need it because it currently sucks. And Don the Beachcombers. Oh, that sounds really awesome. Let's go get a Mai Tai. And then, sorry, we don't have Mai Tais. That's on the Beachcombers. So that's,
Dan, I'm looking at all the pictures and everything. This does not in any way look familiar at all. And again, all I can think of is the main street of Disney Studios in Paris.
In terms of experiencing, I think part of that could be a trauma response to us going in there right after going on Superstar Limo.
Oh, could be. When did it close?
The Hollywood and Dine.
Hollywood and Dine.
By the way, I just need to point out Hollywood and Dine. You see what they're doing with that? It's like because
it's like Hollywood and Vine.
There's a street in the Hollywood area called Vine with a V. But
and at Disney's Hollywood Studios, they actually have a restaurant that is Hollywood and Vine.
No, and Dine because here you dine. Right. I just want. I'm going to do a lot of pun clearing up.
Oh, thank you.
How are you now?
I tend to miss puns.
Right.
The humor is more sophisticated than my palate can handle.
Eric is slowly becoming AI.
Hollywood and Dine
Yeah.
was a victim of some of the earliest cost cuts at Disney's California Adventure Park during the first year of operation.
Wow.
Guests found locked doors behind gray barriers. The temporary closing became permanent, although the sign remained in front of the building until 2005.
Now, this becomes even sadder and more hilarious because this also brings up another past thing that should have been a thing that lasted longer. Remember Electronica? Emphasis on the Tron?
That I do.
Right. So when California Adventure...
was it the arcade?
That was the arcade.
Well, that was Flynn's over there. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to give a point for the arcade.
Hold
it's unrelated to any of this, but I have to.
It's gone.
I'm not done.
It's gone.
Okay, never mind. Okay.
No, I mean, you can if you want, but my point is...
I'm putting a point in reserve because that was really
reserve
cool.
point, that's fine.
Reserve
but the thing is, here's why it's so sad, is that Electronica was super, super popular. And just for some background, Electronica was Disney's answer to, okay, well, we have World of Color, which everyone's into, and this is before, the virtual queue. People would run to, I believe it was Grizzly River Rapids. They would run straight there so that they could get a fast pass for a showing of World of Color. And then the thought was like, okay, well, all these people are gonna, and these are the only people who could see the show. And the thought was, well, all these people are gonna flood into California Adventure. It currently sucks. There's not a lot that can happen here. So Disney, in a very, very rare, smart move at the time, said, hey, you know what? Tron 2 Electric Boogaloo is coming out. What if we made a place that's like basically an outdoor nightclub for all these presumably adult type people to let's actually embrace that we can do like adult, not in the naughty way, activities here. We can actually have like a nightclub experience, right? So every night they would turn this entire area of Hollywood Studios into Electronica. So they had like little food booths, they had drink stands, and they turned the Hollywood and Dine building into Flynn's, where you could play all sorts of retro video games for free. Awesome. These are not words that you often hear with Disney. You could play these games for free. Of course, the drinks were overpriced, but whatever. And they had family appropriate dancers and like suggestive cages. And it was basically that line that so many people are thinking like, why can't they find this nice happy medium between like, having it be like, okay, adults actually come here and adults have, they want to have experiences that maybe kids wouldn't otherwise want to have.
I'm stuck on a phrase you used earlier, Dan. It reminds me of a Disney special where they announce all the different people coming up, and one of the acts is, and the family appropriate dancers.
Right. It was very much that, but it wasn't in that, like, it was done very well, and it wasn't cynical. It was very much really like good. You could tell that it was done with an eye to lowercase a adult aesthetic and the possibility that the kids would also be there. And then it was really cool. And of course it was done by an outside, group. That's why it worked. And then they turned it into Mad Hatter Tea Party and everybody was like, this sucks. And they stopped.
I actually saw that.
Yeah.
It was very cool though.
I just remember seeing it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let us move on. Dan, anything else you want to get to the history of
did there.
These restaurants?
No, that's it. The rest is just stumbling towards sustainability.
Okay. Well,
the fake horizon.
No official points have been awarded. There is a reserve point for Flynn's because what a great use of space and the free aspect, but it's not there anymore.
Can I point out before we get to the drop? Do I save my point? I'm just going to say it now, rather than saving it for a dramatic reveal later. The whole area that Dan's talking about is not in Hollywoodland, is it?
Yes.
Are we considering that back area Hollywoodland?
Yeah, Disney's. Hold on, let me pull up the app here. Excuse me.
I guess I'm thinking of the old street idea, but you're right. We did expand to the full land. Never
mind.
Expand to the full land.
The land is the street, basically. Otherwise, it's just animation.
A little offshoot.
It's a street with another chunk. But hey, I mean,
as far as Hollywoodland is concerned, the Hollywood Lounge is in Hollywoodland. Therefore, so is Stage 12.
Oh,
so
okay.
is Monsters Inc. is in Hollywoodland, which is the land of which we are.
Oh, that's right, because we're talking about the Hollywood. Never mind. That's right.
So do you not have a bomb anymore?
I do not have a bomb anymore because I already said it, and it turns out I just had a rock that was painted black and has a string glued on the top to make it look like an old-timey bomb, but it's not really.
Did it say Acme on it?
No, it didn't even have that on it. I think somebody started to paint the A, but then they ran out of white paint.
What are you talking about?
Maybe they were starting.
It's a fake bomb. Come on, Jimmy. Follow my logic here.
Got it. Thank you.
Maybe they intended to write a rock, and then they ran out of paint.
That's a good point. They couldn't decide.
All right, let's move on.
They set it down, and I picked it up. And I'm like, this will be useful later.
By the way, if you enjoy more of this kind of content, listen to Boys Planning.
Eric, we're going to get started with the today world of these lands and the dining situations in each.
Hooray.
You'd mentioned about the history of the produce stand. It's called Anaheim Produce. So, Eric, I don't know how we want to handle this as far as do we want to go through menu items?
Yes.
What's there? I kind of like to make this quick because I'm going to get bored listening. So our listener may feel the same way.
Wow.
Your attention, please.
The holidays are back at Starbucks, and there's so much to share. With classics like Caramel Brulee Latte, Peppermint Mocha, and Chestnut Praline Latte, we're celebrating everyone's flavor of festivity. Order yours in the app.
By the way, I thought of a good way to explain what we're explaining in a way that fits in the narrative of our shows. It's if you want to hear a situation where Eric knows almost nothing and I actually like what we're talking about, then this is the show for you.
Eric, let's talk about Anaheim Produce first.
Grab hold of an on-the-go energy boost at this healthy cart featuring a fast and refreshing assortment of snacks and treats, including fresh fruit and veggies, Mickey pretzels with zesty cheese sauce, frozen lemonades, margaritas, and more. That's what Disney has to say about this cart.
I love this. I could do a whole episode just reading what Disney says about
Disney's copy.
Oh my God.
So what they sell here currently, like you mentioned earlier, they have plant-based fruit.
Plant-based fruit.
They sell pickles, bottled beverages,
Thank God.
Mickey
It's
pretzels.
about time.
Right. This is one of the places where they sell full churros. For $7, they sell the chocolate sauce with it to hide that they're not very great churros, even though they're the same brand as Disneyland. Listeners, I'm sure we've been through this plenty of times on plenty of shows that you've heard us on, but the main reason why the churros stink in Walt Disney World is because they don't sell very many of them.
Well, that's not the reason they stink. They stink.
Sounds like a chicken and the egg kind of situation.
Yeah, I was going to say they don't sell them because they're not good. It's not that they're not good, so they don't sell them.
It's just a weird cultural thing on the East Coast. Nobody really caught on with it. And
they're not the same. They don't taste the same. And you know how that they're bad is because they give you chocolate sauce to go with it.
Well, that's what I just said.
It's like confetti at the end of a show.
That's what I repeated.
There we go. That's why it's important. They sell frozen margaritas there and some beers and White Claw. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That is Anaheim Produce.
And then an equivalent to Anaheim Produce in Anaheim, in the actual Anaheim, is Fairfax Market.
That's correct. Head to Hollywoodland for healthy snacks such as whole and sliced fruit, pickle spears,
Is
trail
it
mix.
plant-based?
Yeah, they're all, this is all plant-based. Veggie cups,
Some
hummus,
meat-based pickles.
and more. Yeah, meat-based pickles. Oh, that actually
beef
sounds
broth.
really good. That sounds awesome. Pickled herring, yum yum.
I have that in my fridge.
Let's see, hummus and more. Bottled drinks from refreshing coconut water to soda pop. Round out the offerings at this market stand. An important message: in park dining requires a theme park reservation and valid admission for the same park on the same date for each guest, ages 3 or older. Eric, before we get to me entirely winning with this one, tell me, is your fruit stand open a convenient, let's see, math, 7 hours a day?
Wow. Yes.
I
Is your fruit cart directly across the street from a restroom?
Ooh.
It is conveniently adjacent to a restroom.
It is pretty close, yeah.
And outside of that restroom, you can see the leading lady and the best man, the starring man.
Right. The starring man. Real quick. So these two fruit carts, just for the group, they're effectively both fruit stands, right?
Assorted whole fruits.
We don't know that
you can only imagine
plant-based.
What's there. They're all plant-based.
Now, here's what I like about the Fairfax one.
Hold on. We have this, and this is a word that I should know how to say because I love them very much. Chicharrones.
Chicharrones.
We do have that. And though they are not chicharrones, and they are not plant-based. They are very much meat-based.
And what are they?
Pork rinds.
Pork rinds, yeah.
Right.
Spiced pork rinds. But do you have frozen Coke with and without alcohol?
So that's kind of what I was getting to, Eric. It feels like that. And this is going to be tricky because one is in Anaheim, one is called Anaheim.
Think of the labor cost, Jimmy.
DCA. The fruit stand is more of what I would see a traditional fruit stand. It's fruit, vegetables, hummus, pickles, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, flavored water, soda, that sort of thing, and then the pork rinds. So there's a little more of a theme. Eric's, yours has similar stuff, maybe not so much vegetables. It is Florida.
They have pickles.
But you get Mickey
vegetable.
Pretzels. You've got churros.
I might
You've
have
got alcohol.
I might have a winner here. Eric, may the guest remain in their wheelchair or ECV at your market? Because at mine they can.
Absolutely.
Drats.
As long as you're up on, if you've presumably gone over the curb earlier.
Now, Eric,
you can just roll right up, Dan.
Okay.
So the frozen margarita thing, is it like behind the counter when you bring your plant-based fruit to the counter?
Yeah,
Are you getting a frozen margarita?
Yeah, because they've got the little. They have the little bins with the ice and the fresh stuff in it. Presumably they have. I can't quite remember if they have carrots and stuff in there too, but I don't know. But
yeah.
That's up front. So you kind of, as you're going through the line, you can grab all that stuff or your bottled drink. And then when you get up to the counter, that's where they have the heater with the churros and the Mickey pretzel heater rotating deal. And then they've got the frozen stuff behind there. And you can also, that's where you pick up, they've got some beers on tap and canned beers as well.
As a member of the temperance movement, I need to step in here. Okay. Do we really think it's a good idea to sell alcoholic beverages in a children's theme park?
The question is, do we think it's a good idea to sell alcoholic beverages that early in the day at a children's theme park?
That's
great question. So I'm trying to be as objective as I can. I really genuinely do not want to spend a lot of time on this episode.
I know, that's why I'm pushing it longer.
But I'm just trying to think, like, a couple fruit stands. One of them has like more substantive food and alcohol.
Yeah.
The other one is more of like a fruit stand. And it looks, in my mind's eye, I'm seeing it. It's just kind of like it feels like a newsstand almost. You got fruit on the street. It's not like you don't really go in anywhere. Right.
It's not 3D. It's
right.
just there. Whereas Anaheim produce is more, it fits in more with the theme of the farmer's market where there's more dimension.
Except the alcohol.
And I also need to point out that
churros.
Due to it only being open 7 hours a day, the other times it could double as a newsstand. So it's like double theming.
It could.
An empty newsstand because nobody buys newspapers anymore.
Exactly.
So I'm having a hard time with this. Like, is it more substantive in Hollywood studios that does not have a lot of great places to eat? Not famous for its quality of food. DCA is more famous for its quality of food now.
Can I genuinely suggest an approach to this?
Yes, please.
What if in this kind of scenario, and I think you might be going in this direction, but I just want to like kind of push you further there. What if we consider like each thing kind of as a part of the whole? Meaning that like, how much does this add to the whole of California Adventure compared to how much does that add to the whole of Disney MGM Studios, which I refuse to call it anything else.
Okay, so I don't want to do it as that's interesting. I don't. I mean, if you're gonna frame it that way, Dan. If you're going to frame it that way, then I would say that Anaheim Produce does more for the park than does Fairfax Market. If we're going to frame it that way, but what I would like to do, and this is unprecedented, I would like to come back to that.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure yet, and I want to go further before we decide which one of those is better. Okay. So what I'd like to do then.
We have 3 hours before it closes, so that's good.
Okay. The next thing I'd like to do, Eric, is let's go to Rosie's All-American Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, we'll start out with the copy here. Relish. Oh, wow. It used to be Rosie's Red Hots now. They sell hot dogs there, too.
They kept it, did they?
Relish in the red, white, and blue spirit with American classics like an Angus cheeseburger, crispy chicken nuggets, and fries. Then wash it all down with an icy Coke or an ice-cold beer.
You can put relish on all of this.
Just floating in your beer.
Relish in your beer.
Hot dogs, cheeseburgers, chicken nugs, $15 chili cheese footlong hot dog. Rosie's All-American Salad. Here's your healthy option. It's pulled pork, sweet potatoes, tortilla chips.
Salads are healthy.
Radishes, pumpkin seeds, and ranch dressing. It's very America, and it's $12. You can also get a plant-based lobster roll.
Oh, I actually love that as someone who's allergic to meat-based
real lobster. And they make it out of hearts of palm, which if you haven't had hearts of palm before, listener,
that would work.
That could work out really well. Like hearts of palm makes really good pasta. It can be more dense. It's got more of a chew to it than a lot of the like alternative grains necessarily. So it's also kind of it's a plant that you don't eat a whole lot of. You don't see a lot of it. So it's a little more, I think it could pull off some of the trickery better.
Did you say it's a plant-based lobster roll?
Yes.
Okay.
Lobster roll as in the sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, and according to my composition teacher, and this is true, he has said these words, two people in the food industry, fish or vegetables.
There you go.
Yep.
Interesting.
It's a real,
in certain countries. Two more noteworthy things to discuss on the menu. I know you didn't want me to list the whole menu, but there are some weird things like this one in particular. PB&J cookie sandwich.
Interesting. What makes it a cookie sandwich?
It is a peanut butter cookie, 2 peanut butter cookies with jelly in the middle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that like on the kids menu or is it just a snack?
That is the Phantasmic cookie sandwich. So
that's on the bad news you eat like a kid menu.
There you go. I'd also like to point out, completely separate from this, but just, maybe this is part of the Dad Food Hacks account that Dan and I have talked about so much. Cheese sauce is an additional $1. Just saying.
Now, why would you get the cheese sauce?
Oh, well, we need to do the food hacks.
Dad food hacks.
Oh, God.
I don't think we've discussed this on the show, have we?
No, we haven't.
Made ourselves laugh at Disneyland.
Oh, God. Yeah. If there are any listeners out there who would like to sacrifice their Instagram account for us to have you do ridiculous things that amuse us, please contact us.
The food hacks? Like getting a turkey leg and putting
and mashing a Dole Whip on top.
On top and
then
making
taking
a
a cute selfie with it.
With your fingernails painted?
Right,
that was the
Yeah.
And the last interesting item is Lightning McQueen's spare tire. It is a chocolate cake donut filled with raspberry jam and robed in dark chocolate mousse, coconut glaze, chocolate flakes, and a chocolate coin. And that's $6.
Sounds awful. Sounds terrible.
Sorry.
It's a lot of donut.
I thought of one while I was there with my sister, who doesn't talk like that, by the way. It was you get the souvenir popcorn bucket, you throw away the popcorn. There's a lot of throwing away of things in these food hacks. And in the video, by the way, it will be done with like disdain. So you get the popcorn bucket, you throw the popcorn away, you keep give it to me. I'm embracing it. You keep the popcorn, the souvenir popcorn bucket, which is not made to hold liquids, by the way. And then you go to the New Orleans veranda and you get to the beef gumbo and the clam chowder, and you pour them into
both
the popcorn bucket. And you throw away the bread bowl, and you're left with just this weird sludge oozing out of the bottom.
And your hand's scalding.
And your hand is scalding.
I thought a fun one would be, a dad hack would be to take the popcorn bucket, angrily throw away the popcorn.
Right.
And then have all your friends go get a cocktail and pour all the cocktails into the popcorn bucket. So you got popcorn bucket sized drink.
This is my fault, listener. I'm the one who started this.
Oh.
Okay, so Eric, we got burgers, we got dogs, we got some salads, we got a plant-based lobster roll,
foods,
Instagrammable things, PB&J sandwich, and some beer. Dan, you have award wieners, which we decided would be
I can't stop thinking of them. You peel off the corn, the battered corn layer from your corn dog, and you get a churro, and you graft the churro on it like
around the hot dog.
Yeah, like it's face off.
Oh my god.
Again, scalding your hands while you do so.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of scalding of hands.
Jesus.
I promise this is genuine, and I'm really trying to stop it.
All right, so award wieners.
Oh my god.
We only talk about high class stuff around these parts.
Oh. Okay, I can do this.
If you're good, we're going to dedicate this song to you.
Henry doesn't say that anymore, does he?
He's so dedicated. No, and I've spoiler freed myself. That's another thing I haven't done yet over there, Eric.
I can't wait.
I watched it. It doesn't look good. I want
spoiler one.
I want my bears back.
Jesus. Okay, so tell us about award wieners beyond the clever name.
There are no jokes about shooting kids. What's wrong with this country?
But don't worry.
All right. Award wieners. First of all, I need to point out to you both, when someone wins an award, you would refer to them as an award winner.
Okay. Right? Keep going.
This is kind of an extension of how you can put relish on a lot of the things on that menu before. All right. Sure. So when one is someone who has won an award, you refer to them as an award winner, right?
Okay.
Now
how does this relate?
Also, hold on, because you can also refer to a hot dog as a wiener, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Now put them together for me.
They decided that it would be and I don't disagree. It'd be funny for them to say that this place is called Award Wieners. It's in combining of the ideas
because like the hot dog,
right? Because that's what they sell. They sell hot dogs, right?
Is that naming style not the sort of restaurant personification of Hollywood, the superstar limo?
It's. I would go further and say that it is the. I would say manifestation instead of personification, but it is a pure distillation of that entire time period of the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah, but 1.0 DCA was all puns.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, Eric.
Right.
And it does not belong there anymore.
It should be called something different, I think, at the very least. Because the restaurant itself, just not being in character here, it is not bad. I mean, it's not great stuff either. It's the hot dogs, right? So hold on, because if you like puns, here, well, not puns, but pun-like activity. Famished this is going to be really hard for me. Okay. Famished Frankfurter fans flock to this satisfying hot dog stand, where the talent is totally in the taste. That's the description of it.
Oh,
okay. So here's where I want to go with this.
Know what they have?
Give us the menu. You got hot dogs before I get to my point.
You got seasonal offering currently. Hold on, I'll go off the.
Ooh, seasonal.
They got seasonal. So they have currently they have Pride offerings, which they kind of just always have something that they throw.
Rainbow sprinkles,
whatever the other theme is, they have a version of it. But seasonal offerings currently are, and they change these up. Meatball. I am exhausted from making myself laugh at that stupid crap. Meatball sandwich, and you know what that is. And with everything you can imagine that it comes with cuties or film strip fries, which are French fries that look like a film strip. PB&J sweet potato fries, yum yum, crispy sweet potato fries, peanut butter cream, strawberry jelly drizzle, and potato chips. Regular old sweet potato fries. That's a Pixar Fest thing. They also have, for us Magic Key holders, we have Magic Key mirrored Mickey shaped sipper, so you can treat yourself like a toddler. And they also have the stars of the show, Bacon Street Dog, which is all beef hot dogs dipped in a house-made roasted red pepper ketchup, topped with grilled onions, bell peppers, and crispy bacon crumbles. We also have the Uptown Chili Dog, all beef hot dog topped with home-style chili, pepper jack cheese, and corn chips served in a toasted bun. And then just a regular hot dog.
Okay.
They also have, you can also get asada fries. We already talked about film strip fries. They have a plant-based Philly dog, which is not, and just in case you are misguided by that, it is basically just all mushrooms. What I've heard is that if you know going in that it's basically like the mushrooms are filling in for the meat, it's actually not bad.
I could admit, I would imagine that tastes good.
But if you go in thinking that it's going to be a meat replacement experience, it can be very shocking. They also have the Power Pack for the kids, tinier hot dog for the kids. They have beer. They have margarita. They have Hollywood coolers, which are just drinks.
Okay. Eric, do you have any sense of, Dan explained the name Award Wieners, what it means?
I can explain it again if you're not clear.
Rosie's All-American. Are we talking about Rosie the Riveter?
That's kind of
from the Jetsons, I believe.
I see.
Yes. Very, very popular character in the Disney parks.
Right.
I'm assuming Rosie the Riveter, it's always been, I mean, I don't think they have anything that explicitly
does
calls
it
that
fit?
out, though. It's All-American.
I guess, but Hollywood doesn't, I mean, I guess Hollywood is American, but it just doesn't, the theming doesn't mesh for me. I do like the plant-based lobster roll at Rosie's. And I do like some of the variety. all of that dining in that park, on that side of the park, all just feels very amusement park to me. Not theme park, amusement park.
I wonder if that's on purpose.
Maybe
you gotta have a place for a cheap burger.
You do have to have a Hungry Bear restaurant, right? You got to have funnel cakes. You got to have a cheeseburger.
I guess they have the Backlot restaurant and the ABC and commissary that also have a cheap hamburger.
Right.
Okay, so that box is already ticked. I was good faith trying to be fair,
maybe here, this place has a 3rd pound Angus cheeseburger, so they're not necessarily going for the cheap stuff here.
That's right. With a G,
so
right?
Here's what I like about award wieners is the various options, variations on a theme. I like the seasonal offering a lot because Rosie's is kind of always the same. I like
the donut represents their limited menu, by the way.
Gotcha. I appreciate that interjection. Sweet potato fries. I like that for those who like that gross stuff. I like the asada fries. I like just sort of the breadth and various flavors that probably are a little bit more local is not the right way to put it. A little bit more nuanced, a little bit more eclectic. So in this case, I'm going to say,
can I sprinkle a little bit of something on what you just said? I think my observation of it is I don't eat there a lot, but I'm not opposed to it. Every time I have gotten something there, like the chili dog or something, some I forget what I think I got. I think it was a Reuben dog is what I got.
Okay,
it's almost always clear that even if they go in the wrong creative direction, they do something else to it. It's not just here's pastrami and stuff on top of a thing. It's like they actually thought it. They think it through. They add an extra twist that fits to what they're doing, but you can tell. Like for example, just as simple as the chili cheese dog, it could have easily been cheddar. It's pepper jack. Like things like that.
Sure. Okay, so I'd like to. I was going to give negative points for the names because neither of them they're just lame. That's going to cancel themselves out.
Which is more lame?
Award wieners is more lame.
Does that mean it gets a point for that or not?
No, I'm going to give a point for award wieners menu.
Okay.
When did animal style burgers start?
But I do want to acknowledge, they both have booze. They both, have hot dogs. Now, award wieners does not have a hamburger.
No,
but
and they shouldn't. It's award wieners.
That's true. Sure. So the hamburger aspect
would be a blasphemy.
You cannot get a hamburger in Hollywoodland at DCA.
Huh.
I just thought of something. Habsburgers, a burger restaurant where everything's inbred.
In what?
I'm sorry. I haven't been sleeping well.
This episode's never going to end.
Habsburg. It's the Habsburg jaw. It's the sign of extreme inbreeding and royals. Yeah. They can have Habsburgers.
You lost me. But okay. So I'm just trying to think there's no hamburgers at Hollywoodland at all. Dan, is that correct?
No, there are not.
Okay.
Huh.
Hamburgers are not necessarily synonymous with Hollywood per se. So I don't know if I want to demote that.
In fact, oddly enough, California Adventure, while they do have hamburgers, I would argue, I know someone could make a case for Smoked Jumper's Grill, but they don't really have any strong hamburger presence in terms of it actually being a good, solid burger.
Without the In-N-Out.
Without In-N-Out, which is ironic because Southern California, In-N-Out or not, they should at least have a good burger that's not a weird sausage-based patty like they do at Lamplight. Just a straight up, give me a good burger.
Yeah.
Kind of doesn't exist.
Good point. Okay, so I'm not going to ding anything. I'm just going to keep with the point that we already gave for the nuance and variety of award wieners. Let's move on to Eric. We're going to move on to
Catalina Eddies.
Catalina Eddies.
Regarding the name, the best I can think of is that Catalina is an island, and eddy is something that happens in water.
Oh, it's not
the current.
So, but this particular thing is an apostrophe, so it's possessive. This is Eddie's.
True.
Catalina.
It is Eddie's. As in
Eddie probably wouldn't happen
Eddie.
around Catalina.
Hollywood and Catalina are not.
I'm just saying, if you want to, if you're really like stretching for a pun or some explanation of the name here, other than a guy named Eddie.
Jimmy, I'm going to go ahead and concede something here. Considering that we're dealing with Florida, a Florida version of Hollywood, as much as a,
and to be clear, not Hollywood, Florida, which is a totally different thing.
Right. As much as a Southern California diehard I am willing to extend Disney World the grace of saying, like, okay, Catalina, you got the region kind of right. That's fine. May as well be in Hollywood.
We're going to make this one quick. Eric, do you want to tell us about Catalina Eddie's real quick?
I can. Cruise over for fresh hot pizza, zesty chicken Caesar salads, and more. Then satisfy your sweet tooth with a delicious dessert. Hot and cold drinks are also available. This place sells exactly what I just said in the copy. The delicious dessert is the Enchanted Rose dessert, which is a dark chocolate mousse on a cookie, and it has the same drinks as Rosie's next door.
Because it's across the street from the Beauty and the Beast Theater.
Right.
What we should have done, and may still do, Catalina Eddie's and Rosie's are the same restaurant with two windows. The same kitchen.
Same kitchen, yeah.
So it's basically one. All right. So it's
like,
but you can't buy a pizza at Rosie's. They won't sell it to you.
It's a two different lines, right? Which maybe
it's like the Dark Crystal. It's just like the plot of the Dark Crystal.
Why do you think that is? It's the same building.
Well,
it's the same
light
restaurant.
Beings,
Why do you think
dark beings, and then when they come together at the end, they become one united being that should have never been fractured, much like the crystal itself.
Why do you think why don't they just have two windows for the same restaurant?
Because it makes it feel like there's more there. That's
I guess my question.
It's the effect of seeing more things in the app. It's looking at more options. Yeah.
The old "more things are more things" scenario.
That's true.
It's a great argument, right?
All right. So in this case, the pizza's not great.
I wouldn't know.
But also, you cannot get pizza at Hollywood Land at DCA. So
but considering how pizza at Disneyland parks tend to go, that could be an act of grace.
But you brought up the Florida thing. You brought up the park thing. So I'm going to, just for variety's sake, the hamburger pizza options in a theme park, I'm going to give a point to Hollywood Studios. All right, let's move on to Fairfax Fair, Eric.
Treat yourself to a delicious waffle bowl filled with savory chicken, pork, or brisket, and tasty toppings. Or enjoy the fresh and flavorful plant-based bowl and save some room for a truly delectable dessert. This is one of the few breakfasts that you can get in Hollywood Studios, where you can get Mickey waffles. Just so you know that you are not at a castle park, you can also get a mimosa here at 9 a.m.
Oh, interesting.
Thank God.
Yes.
And what is that breakfast offering, Eric?
I already told you. It's Mickey waffles. With or without bacon.
Ooh.
And with or without maple syrup. That's all. The bowls, you get beef brisket, Korean pork belly, buffalo chicken. They are served... the meat is served on top of mashed potatoes in a waffle bowl. The plant-based bowl is fake chicken. And the dessert is the aforementioned Enchanted Rose, the chocolate mousse with a cookie and stuff.
So is it the gray stuff?
It is not. It is a dark chocolate mousse.
Is it the same thing that you can get at the pizza place?
It is the same. Yeah, same as the pizza place. Gray stuff is more Oreo cookie based.
Got it. Okay. So I've got a breakfast, which is key. I've got the brisket. The Korean pork belly is very interesting. The waffle bowl is interesting. A plant-based option for chicken. Yeah, I don't like dark chocolate, so I'm just not even going to entertain it.
Oh, no.
Eric or Dan, sorry, Eric, do you have anything else on Fairfax Fair?
That's about it.
Dan, then we were going to talk about the Studio Grill. Is that right?
Studio Catering Company.
Studio Catering Company. Tell us about that.
Grill would be too kind. I'm going to introduce a possibility for a point here, which is least obnoxious description on the app.
Ooh.
Looking for a quick sip and delightful bites? Time to take a time out to try tempting seasonal snacks, refreshing non-alcoholic beverages, and Coca-Cola offerings at this vibrant backlot truck. Open during select hours. Those select hours are reasonable, 10:30 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
Sips and bites are some of Disney's favorite words, though.
They do love those words.
Yeah, that's true. The bites thing. Eric, do they have alcohol at Fairfax Fair?
They do. Mostly beer.
And Dan, you said they do not have alcohol at.
They do not. However, and I don't know how we want to deal with this, they do have a connection with a place like basically right next to them called the Hollywood Lounge.
Yeah, that's what I seem to remember.
What's that?
Is it two different transactions?
One transaction.
Okay, that counts.
Okay.
All right.
So are we then saying
the
Hollywood Lounge is not its own thing anymore?
Oh, I don't know. But it's the same transaction?
Same transaction. Actually, I think you can do the same transaction at either. So in fairness, we should count them as one.
I've never noticed that.
As much as I want to stretch this out, I think in
Studio
fairness,
Catering Company and Hollywood Lounge are we sure it's one transaction?
They're separate.
Not 100%.
Like they're physically separated.
Yeah. They're two separate
I can't
buildings.
be entirely sure, but my memory is that you can in fact say, "Oh, and I want to pick up this over there," and they'll say like, "Okay, just show them this receipt."
Well, let's take alcohol out of the equation just for the sake of
thank God.
arguments.
As a member of the temperance movement, I'm glad we are doing that.
Studio Catering Company. Is it a food truck?
It is a food truck. And let's just pretend it's a food truck in the fun, whimsical way that it should be. They have a Magic Key offering, which is this Mickey-shaped sipper, so you can treat yourself like a toddler if you want to. They also have a variety of and by variety, I mean that they change the burrito periodically. They have a variety of burritos. The current one is orange chicken burrito, crispy orange chicken and lo mein noodles with vegetables and egg fried rice rolled in a flour tortilla and served with hot sauce and wonton chips. I mean, I can order it right now on the app because I know it sounds delectable.
Just drive on up and pick it up.
I mean, okay, look. If you are going to Disneyland to do a Run Disney event, this would be great the day before and carb up, right? Yeah. We also have Mickey Mouse pretzels and an optional cheese cup and Ramon nachos, which are tortilla chips topped with grilled chicken, queso blanco, refried beans, pico de gallo, salsa verde, cotija, serrano peppers, and radishes.
Is this Ramon as in from
Cars? We've got a rogue Cars nod.
Here's the thing. I don't know. And all I can think is that it better be, because otherwise they just picked a kind of stereotypical Latin
because it's
name.
Nachos. May as well call it Paco's Nachos.
Yeah, they may as well. Like Arriba, bang, bang, nachos.
Oh my God. Arriba, bang, bang. Well, I'm going to say that unless you have something else to say, that sounds terrible.
I have much to say that isn't like directly connected to the menu.
Okay.
I have observational things to say.
Again.
I'm going to say what I find fascinating is at a place like Hollywood Studios in Orlando, Florida, they have something and I'm going to use the word nuanced again, so I apologize, as a Korean pork belly bowl, I'm going to go ahead and give Fairfax Fair a point.
Now, in fairness, there are times when they put Korean pork belly in a burrito.
I'm sure. Again, I
You
like
can't
the
prove
variety.
They haven't.
I
With
like
an
they mix
egg
it up, but
roll.
they also mix it up at Fairfax. That's not always the same.
Right. And they also put chopsticks in the burrito, and they're like, "Hey, themed."
Oh my god, are they edible chopsticks?
Of course, they're plant-based.
The other thing, because what I was going to say is, but Fairfax Fair was the place you go to get a turkey leg. That's all they had for a long time.
Yeah.
So I like that they've mixed it up. Sounds like there's variety of both. So Fairfax Fair gets that point. Current point totals are DCA 1 with a reserve and Hollywood Studios 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to move on to Scoops.
Hollywood
I feel bad
Scoops.
arguing against that
Hollywood
point.
Scoops, Eric.
You're still going to argue the point
No, I feel bad arguing against it now
because you don't really like the food truck, huh?
I'm glad they're taking risks.
All right, Hollywood Scoops. Get the inside scoop with hand-dipped ice cream and more. And don't
Get
miss
what
the
they
star
do
of
there.
the menu, the Mickey Brownie Sundae. Fat-free, no sugar-added vanilla ice cream is also available. That
Ew.
wasn't very snappy, but there is an AP-only sundae here if you want to, if you must have some privilege.
And we must.
Yeah, it looks like a regular sundae, but it also is served on top of a chocolate donut.
Ugh.
Instead of a brownie, which is the other fancy thing here, the brownie sundae. They're both $8. And
I was going to give California Adventure a point for having some annual pass holder nod, but now I feel like I'm not going to do that because there's a nod, and it's not just a sippy cup; it's an actual food offering.
It's not a bib.
nice.
But continue.
All right, they change up. It's an actual hand dipped ice cream store, so they've got a bunch of different flavors that are rotating. They change out the shake options and the donut options and sundae offerings every few months. So that part of the menu is rotating. The things that they always have, the thing that they always have is the Mickey Brownie Sundae, and presumably this AP only Sundae. I haven't seen that one until recently. But yeah, everything else is.
How many
shakes
flavors
and-
of ice cream are there? Do you know?
Oh gosh, that is a good question.
Well,
I just had it up too.
31. Right? Those are all the flavors in the universe.
Let's see, hand scooped ice cream.
While he's looking that up, Dan, would you like to talk about schmoozies?
I sure would. First of all, I need to explain a few things here.
Okay, please.
When people in Hollywood get together and talk about a project or something, or they try to build some sort of rapport or anything like that. Let's say they're getting together with the possibility of there being more, not really a meeting, but like a rubbing of, professional and social elbows, let's say. That's called schmoozing in the Hollywood lexicon.
Literal elbows.
What's that?
Literal elbows?
Literal elbow. Well, I mean, whatever. You got to be careful.
Elbow macaroni.
I don't understand
perhaps.
business. Wow. These crazy Hollywood
So
types.
I still don't understand. So schmoozing. Okay, I got that.
So you schmooze. That's called
Heard of
schmoozing.
it.
And then there are also things sort of like milkshakes, but like fruit. Well, they're plant-based. And very often those plants are fruits.
Interesting.
And they are called smoothies.
Okay.
Now, what Disney did is they looked at let's really maximize these ideas. We need to communicate that this is indeed a location in a Hollywood setting.
Okay.
How do we do that, right? And then what if we have a smoothie place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they thought long and hard about it, and they thought, I got it, schmoozies, because you combine the two. So
like award wieners,
right? But I would almost argue more clever. Question mark?
Absolutely. Yeah. Very.
Let me put it this way: whatever energy that was It's more of that.
Yes, slightly more energy. Still, also at this point, very lazy and very 2001 OG 1.0 Hollywood DCA. Dan, tell us about schmoozies now that we understand the meaning of the name.
Take a power break with a delicious fresh fruit smoothie that's sure to be the talk of the town. Mm-hmm. And what we have here is we have seasonal offerings currently. Strawberry shortcake mini shake. A lot of shake in there. And that is a strawberry shake blended with vanilla cookies and topped with strawberry sauce, whipped topping, vanilla cream filled cookies, and a mini bow. By the way, it's Minnie Mouse. It's not like a very small bow.
A tiny bow?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Watermelon lemonade. You know what those two things are. Shake 2319. That is vanilla, orange, guava, and pineapple shake with shaved coconut, whipped topping, and an orange cone.
2319?
I don't know what that is. And then
there 1923.
Oh, that's yes, because it's a shake. It's blended up.
Yeah, got it.
Got it.
Hopefully that's not the price. Am I right?
Close. If you got two with tax, it would be that. Panda May straw clip is an extra purchase that you can make if you are into spending more money.
Is it edible straw?
No, but it is apparently so popular that you can only get two per person. There is also a churro bundt cake, strawberry lemonade bundt cake, and they also have alcoholic beverages, basically seltzer, watermelon lemonade. They just pour some liquor in there. You know what those three things are: mango madness with liquor. It's basically like what they kind of already have, just with liquor. They just throw booze into whatever. That's kind of what's going on there. Let's see, any extra special things? Mango madness,
Dan,
liquor.
Can I just go in and order a smoothie? Like I want orange,
smoothie,
pineapple, and strawberry.
As far as I can tell, no, they would not know what to do with that.
So it's not a Smoothie King per se. It's just a schmoozies. They have smoothies, but it's also ice cream. And
that's true. In fact, I would even wager that if you were to go there and say, pointing to these things, I want you to take that and I want you to put that in this blender here and that there and put that in also the same blender and then take the ice that's right there and put that in the same blender and then maybe take a little bit of Sprite from that little nozzle you have right there in your hand ready to go. Sprinkle some of that in there. And I want you to set the blender on the smoothie setting, as you frequently do in this job. And you put the lid on and press on. They would just look at you and say, the churro cart's over there.
Okay. So, Eric, did you land on ice cream?
Yes. And just as a little counterpoint, before I get to the great reveal of how many flavors we've got, just as a counterpoint to the sore thumb neon sign of schmoozies and all the rest of that.
How dare you, sir?
Hollywood Scoops.
It is whimsical.
Hollywood Scoops is set in the 1930s and even has vintage light fixtures and a cute little cartoon guy with a giant scoop as their mascot. He's on the sign.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just need to point out I am rejecting your implication. Mine is clearly themed to DCA 2001.
That's right. That's correct. Perfect. Eric, what is the grand reveal of your ice creams?
There are 7 regular flavors. Then you also have fat-free, no sugar added vanilla. And you also have both chocolate and vanilla frozen dessert, which are plant-based varieties of not ice cream.
And of course, the forbidden flavors, which we don't talk about.
Okay, so what I was going to say was, if there was a ice cream shop versus a smoothie shop where I can go get something healthy in my theme park day, I would give it to the smoothie shop but it seems to me that what the ice cream stand is trying to be is an ice cream stand, and Schmoozies is lazy in its naming, but is not living up to what it's supposed to be.
They do have watermelon lemonade.
I'm sure they do, that's when I think smoothie store, I think watermelon lemonade.
Yes.
All right.
It's basically,
unfortunately,
it's almost like they took all of the flaws inherent in Jamba Juice and they were like, we need to go further with this.
all right. A point for Hollywood Scoops. All right,
Jimmy, let me remind you of all the good times that you had in Flynn's arcade. You could play all night if you wanted to.
I just
for free.
The listener can't see this, but I have a lot of notes. Like, I'm legitimately taking this seriously. I have a lot of notes, and our final restaurant to compare is KRNR, The Rock Station, which is a place to eat.
Yes. KRNR, The Rock Station. Swing by this tricked out trailer where we're taking requests for classic drinks and snacks. Chill with our super cool lineup of soft serve and floats, or dig that solid cold fan favorite frozen lemonade.
Jesus.
It is a gig trailer. So not a food truck. It's just a trailer. And it's
like where the equipment would be stored where they're going to the
right.
gig.
Yeah, your gear and all that. They sell corn dog nuggets, chips, cookies, mini churros with chocolate sauce. In case a full size churro doesn't appeal to you, you can get tinier ones that are
probably
anything, more stale.
A full churro. Yeah,
that's mini without an I or with an without an E or with
as in miniature.
No polka dots.
They miniaturized the word miniature.
Wouldn't that be funny if they're like little Minnie Mouse corn dogs?
They have frozen drinks, soft serve. In case you don't like, real ice cream, you can get soft serve. Frozen drinks with or without rum, whiskey, or vodka. And
that was ice cream ableism, Eric. I need to say that was ice cream ableism that you engaged in right now.
Soft serve isn't real ice cream. Let's just say it. I love soft serve.
It has the potential to be.
Let me finish the menu. Bud Light.
Sorry.
That was the last thing on the menu.
Oh, so this food stand is woke, I see.
Yes, the only thing it's got is the only beer is Bud Light.
It's ice cream and beer is what it comes down to.
And
corn dogs.
And corn dogs. Okay.
And chips.
By the way, this place is a treasure trove for our Instagram.
Yes. Page. Finally, Dan, the Hollywood Lounge.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
First of all, the Hollywood Lounge is located next to a building that used to hold a wonderfully whimsical arcade experience called Flynn's, where you could go and play all sorts of video games. How
much would you have to pay for those video games?
It was free.
Oh my God.
And I'm in trouble now. Conveniently located right next to a bathroom. All the video games are like all of your favorites from your childhood, if you are above a certain age. And it was delightful. And I just want to say that I find it, I don't know. I think it's an insult to the memories of an entire generation to ignore that this ever existed. But anyway, I mean, be as it may, Hollywood Lounge. Quench your thirst at a stand offering a super lineup of non-alcoholic and alcoholic libations. Again, I want to introduce the possibility of consistently less obnoxious descriptions. But having said that, Hollywood Lounge has the thing that I love, but you apparently haven't figured out how to say, chicharrones. I hope I said it right, with a side of hot sauce and lime. Yum, yum. It is less than $6. And I'm sure you get an abundant serving. You can also get beer, which also includes micheladas. You can get dragon fruit soju mule. That's how you say that word that I've always known how to say. Various mixed drinks. It's basically drinks. A wide variety.
It's a bar.
It's a bar, and it has a wide variety of I don't want to go too far and say the biggest variety, but it's up there with the other beer varieties throughout the park.
So not just Bud Light.
Not just Bud Light with someone's face on the can.
And is it on draft?
I think so. I haven't. I believe it all is, because it would say if it's not. I also just want to point out, I know that not everybody likes these, but I, as someone who adores them but can only drink one before I have digestion problems, they have micheladas like across the board, all sorts of different preparations and approaches to a michelada. That's kind of fun. So that's kind of what this place is. It's a lot of beer with some mixed drinks that are fun and exciting. Some seltzer, some other stuff, but also just like a whole bunch of preparations of michelada.
And the only food offering is pork rinds?
That's all you need.
Okay.
In life, generally.
Eric, would you say that KRNR is mostly a drink stand with corn dogs? Or would you say it's a corn dog stand with drinks?
It's mostly a drink stand that has some, the other snacks are tortilla chips with cheese, chocolate chip cookie, bags of chips.
Okay.
It doesn't specifically call it chicharrones, so I don't know, but.
I also want to point out at mine, that could be a fun game where you like put the beer on the one side of the table and you try to like beer pong the chicharrones into it.
Oh my God.
I should point out that KRNR is the call letters for this fake radio. It does play Aerosmith music and other songs, not just Aerosmith. Because it's right outside the Rock and Roller Coaster.
I've never heard anything but the Aerosmith out of that building. All right. For the drink variety, I would like to give Hollywood Lounge a point.
When did animal-style burgers start?
And I would also like to give Hollywood or California Adventure a point for the fruit stand being a fruit stand.
When did animal-style burgers start?
It's just in retrospect, I'm just thinking of it just being a fruit stand, and I really like that aspect of it. The whole on the street fruit stand, get fruits, vegetables, the different things. You start to muddy a little bit for me when you start getting frozen margaritas and churros and pretzels and that kind of thing. It takes away from what the intent of the fruit cart is.
That's a good point.
Unfortunately,
and I'm not just saying it because it's in my favor. You may at that point you may as well just like sell bubble wands too.
Right, you're 100%. I'm with you on that.
Who says they don't?
Unfortunately, that ties the score.
Oh no.
So, and I honestly, guys, do not have anything that's going to put any one of these over the top. Both of these are my least favorite places to go for food in both of these parks. I do like some of both of them. Sort of have the similar variety. Some of the seasonal offerings. You've got frosty treats you can get liquor, you can get beer, you can get snacks, you can get hot dogs, blah blah blah. I think the only thing I'm landing on is there's just simply more variety at Hollywood Studios.
Can I offer another variable that might help?
Yes.
And this is a genuine question, because I know that you could go either way on this. I know where I would go, but I don't know where you would go. Tendency towards less obnoxious descriptions versus tendency towards more whimsical and possibly themed descriptions.
Now, descriptions aren't something that the average consumer is going to even experience.
That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant to this conversation. When I'm trying to think about going to a theme park and I'm going to go to this land that is themed after a Hollywood and I want to go get some food.
Okay.
In general, all these options are crap. With the exceptions that I think I've already acknowledged, right? There's some seasonal variety. You get some pork belly over here. You can get some unique hot dogs or different things over here at Award Wieners.
I think to add some nuance to that, in fairness to what these things are, I think I would even say all of them are perfectly good options if you know what you want and you know where to get it. Meaning that, like, if I want that weird burrito, then that's available.
That's fair.
Right.
Dan,
But
you're
like-
right. To that end, that $6 chimichanga over at the chicken shack outside of Incredicoaster, there are some really cool things, little nuanced things that you can find here. And I was going to say Hollywood Studios for the variety because of the pizza and the hamburgers or whatever. But I think where I'm going to land here is I'm not going to these lands for these restaurants.
Good
Right?
point. Good point.
I'm going to these lands for the rides. And as a result,
So
Rock
all the
and Roller
people that want
Coaster
to go
and Tower
see,
of Terror.
now I see where you're going with this. All the people that want to go see Mickey's PhilharMagic will have a more varied experience. So great. I'm glad I won this. I'm just going to take my headphones off now and get a glass of water.
You should. So as a result of the lands they're in, I could go more than one way here.
So here's what I'm thinking in defense of Hollywood Studios. The entire market, in addition to this being part of the theme,
these things. God, I remember it was so hard to have these arguments some time ago, but I really feel like
Dan
things
doesn't have his earphones on, by the way.
I still have to come
So we're
up
just
with
letting him go.
approaches, but
I think it's funnier if you keep going, Eric.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
know.
Okay, that's true. If it's annoying, I'll just turn them off. So there's the theme aspect where it is themed after a large market area, and that is what it purports to be, or what it's actually going for. Really, when it comes to the variety of food that you're talking about, it's all in the same place. So if you walk up, sure, you might get taken in by Anaheim produce immediately, but you can also see clearly.
Anaheim, yep.
You can also clearly see that there are a bunch of other options. There are multiple locations.
It is
Presumably there'll
almost
be
a food
multiple
court.
lines.
It is almost a food court.
And then you've
true.
got a large seating area that is covered. It's shady.
That is also true.
It's nice. So it's one. Really, in this case, I would just discard KR&R because it's just it's practically a cart anyway. It just happens to have.
So what I was going to say,
website.
and
I don't know.
I think just leaning into Dan's joke, what I was going to say is because the quality of restaurant or quality of rides in these lands, I would default to Hollywood Studios because you just hey, the land's better because of these rides.
You're right.
However,
one would, and I'm really glad that you're recognizing that the California Adventure version of PhilharMagic, they made so many creative choices.
However,
people,
I'm also I'm going to these lands for these rides, and what am I left with? A crappy
there's also
pizza
the animation building. And
you know what I mean? So I don't know.
If you're getting pizza at a theme park, you're asking for it. Look at all the other options.
Guess.
Okay.
Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Bits aside, that is 100% true.
I'm back to variety. Hollywood Studios wins for variety. The end. You know what? This one could have gone any which way. They're all crap. It's all crap.
I want one of those bowls now.
It's almost. I don't. I mean, you're right. It's all crap, but it's almost like it's like less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to be as objective as possible with something that I just don't like.
Because each place individually, except for possibly the weird burrito place, but I'm willing to say that they probably occasionally have something good. It's just,
but Dan, if Hollywood and Dine is still there,
totally.
I mean,
totally.
It's hands down,
and that
conversation over.
And that comes back to my original premise, which is, first of all, if Superstar Limo weren't Superstar Limo, it might still be there. And or
maybe
if Don the Beachcomber realized that
actually
people
made a tiki restaurant,
made a Mai Tai.
Don the Beachcomber. I mean, they opened up Trader Sam's much later, and people can't get enough of that place.
Yeah, that's true, man. And if it was something like that, like if there was that or a lamplight or anything,
right?
But this is the land equivalent of the other side of the park with the 2001 bathrooms. Like, do something. You spent $1 billion renovating this park. Do something. Change the name. Do something. But anyway. I digress. The Hollywoodland restaurants and the restaurants are the supreme and the restaurants.
It's almost
it's foreboding.
It's almost like that part of the park when they started building it. Someone was just like, "What if we make like a Tomorrowland problem, but on purpose? Wouldn't that be cool?"
But, it's also just when we do these shows and we try to find analogs and comparisons, I really do think it's interesting that in both cases, both themed after Hollywood, a lot of the same architecture is sort of borrowed on. All of the dining's on the left, all of the shopping is on the right. And I think that's interesting that they're both that way.
I think both of these are kind of echoes of Disney's kind of freak out response to Universal Studios opening, and then really, really like putting almost no thought into like, okay, Hollywood, what do people like about Hollywood? Well, like they like facades, they like empty buildings,
Yeah, it's a soundstage. And I get it, but I guess what I'm wondering on the greater thing is, did DCA just borrow from Sunset Boulevard to Hollywood Studios and like all the restaurants over here, the shops over here? Or is there like an actual neuroscience reason behind it? You know what I mean? Anyway,
I think it's like, I think it's like reading left to right.
Maybe.
It's like you eat and then you
eat in the shop, perhaps. But that would be true everywhere, and it's not true everywhere.
True.
Okay, so that was fun. Good job, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It was, I'll be honest, more interested than I thought it would be.
Me too.
I like when Jimmy says crazy things like this is going to be a short one.
Oh my God, I wanted to start that. I know. I mean, I started it. Anyway, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you. That was And the Restaurants, the final episode, not the final episode, but the next episode for the Hollywood land argument will be And the Shops.
Jimmy, can I make a request? Shops. And Eric, feel free to cut this out. Can I make a request that you add boys and girls, to two boys and girls, add NBs? That's non-binary. Boys and girls and NBs.
Sure. I'm sorry. I said ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Right.
And
that's
NBs?
part of your notes. NBs, non-binary is what that is.
Yeah.
Boys and girls
Should I
and
say
NBs.
it now?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and NBs.
Yeah, go for it.
NBs.
I mean,
I will trim.
You can leave this part in too if you want. I don't care.
Yeah, let's leave it in.
Yeah.
It's good to learn, Dan.
I promise I'm not trying to woke scold you. It's just something that every time you say, I'm like, I should say something.
Well, this is back to what we talked about before in the before hours. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and NBs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you. We're learning, people. We're evolving. It's good. Okay, so thank you for listening. Thank you, Dan and Eric. There are other shows on the network, namely Ears Up, that had the Scraping the Vault people on.
Mm-hmm.
And we did
Those
Ernest
hacks.
Goes to Splash Mountain. I did think it was interesting that in the description of that show that the Scraping the Vault people reached out to Ears Up. And for the record, I'd like to point out they reached out to us. Anyway.
And I
rate and review the show. We have currently 69 reviews, so please do no longer review. No, the floor is closed. No more reviews, please.
Sorry.
Also, Concierge is a wonderful way to help a seasoned professional tell you all the places at DCA and Hollywood Studios to avoid eating. Namely, any Hollywood themed street. Anyway. Concierge 856 Our Ears. I have not gotten a recent new client, so I don't know. I have nobody to promote, but there's a lot going on, a lot of new deals, a lot of things happening. I know this is not necessarily vacation planning season, but this is coming out in July, maybe. Yes.
No. I will say though that somebody who knows the patterns of at least one coast. And I'm not trying to be a corporate shill here. Now is probably a very good time to start making plans for, the Halloween season is very, very busy, especially at Disneyland. Yep. I don't know about Disney World. Basically Halloween through Christmas it's the new summer, and a lot of people aren't recognizing that summer. It's kind of dead, which I know is
especially
counterintuitive. Yeah, but starting, as soon as they open up for Halloween stuff, it gets very busy, or as busy as it gets until basically, the day after Christmas ish. So if you are thinking of putting together a vacation anytime within that time period, it stands to reason that if you were to start planning now, you would probably get better availability of things, better prices, more likely to get park reservations, and more likely to get dining reservations and all that stuff. So as somebody who knows that, we can go ahead and just call it a Dan's Frosted Tip. If you were inclined to plan a vacation for that time period, knowing what I know, now is absolutely a good time to do that.
Thank you. And a couple of things I'd like to point out.
Zip it up, there it goes.
Right now is concierge Christmas in July. So there are promotional things. If you do book in July, just book, mind you, you're eligible for some prizes. Also, when you do book, to Dan's point, if you do it now, you're thinking about the fall. Now's a good time. There are all kinds of weird specials and things. If you book a package with concierge, or really with anyone, but if you book with concierge, you only need to pay $200 to secure your package, and you don't need to pay another dime until 30 days before your trip. So it's relatively low risk.
It was fun for me.
Sorry, I'm also, you heard about the new Fast Pass or Lightning Lane thing. Genie Plus is going away at Disney World. What all the concierges are well versed in all of this, so it does get complicated. I have a friend who just got back from Disney World, and his cousin is a Disney vacation planner, right? Traditional Disney vacation planner. And what that means for 99% of the companies out there that are certified Disney vacation planners is that they book your trip. Right? And this is true for probably, I don't know for a fact, but outside of concierge, everyone just books your trip. Okay. This guy was so frustrated. And first of all, I found out he was Disney World. I was like, well, that can't be true. I sent him a text. I said, that can't be true because I did not book this for you. So you can't actually be there. And he and his wife came back and just lamented the fact that it's like, hey, we had early entry. It started at 8:30 in the morning. So we got to the parking lot at 8:30. And by the time we got into the park, it was like we had lost a whole hour because they said, I wish we had somebody to tell us what to do. And tell us if it opens at 8:30, you need to be in through the security, through the turnstiles well before 8:30. And just things like that. They were even staying on property. Nobody was there to tell them that sort of thing. And that's what concierge does. You don't pay anything else, but you have ultimately a better experience because somebody's going to give you those little nuance warnings. Word of the day, nuance.
Hey, you want to hear of the craziest deal that's going on right now with Disney Travel?
Yes, sir.
It is absolutely bonkers. So if you have right now enough time off saved up where you can take 2 weeks off and you have a valid passport and you have a few grand lying around, the National Geographic tour. So basically, Disney has Adventures by Disney, and they have the National Geographic tours. They're very similar, very high touch experiences. You've got very small groups of people on these tours. National Geographic tends to focus more on cultural heritage sites and architecture, and if you're in Africa, they'll be a lot more about conservation and animals and that sort of thing. Morocco, 9 days in Morocco. They have deals for trips this year, meaning sign up for August, September, October, trips that are about $2,000 a person for 9 days. That's most meals taken care of.
I thought that was just for vacation planners. That's for anybody?
That's for anybody. That's not even listed on the deals page on our travel agent site. That's just on the National Geographic site. They're really, if you look out for 2025 trips for the same tour, they're $8,000 to $10,000 a person.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's insane. They're definitely low on attendance and they're just filling spots. But if you have the ability to get to Morocco, look it up. There's a whole bunch of tours. I think they're probably like 8 to 10 complete tours available at this point through like heading into October. It's
so
crazy.
We have Eric or Dan's frosted tips and Eric, because it's Morocco and it's hot. These are Eric's steamed buns.
Oh.
Zip those buns up. There they go. Sorry.
Good job. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening. Congratulations to Hollywood Studios for being the best, worst counter service restaurants in the theme parks. Until next time, thank you, Dan and Eric. Until next time, be good to each other, and court is adjourned.